Another day, another Conservative pretending the Rwanda scheme was a flawless masterstroke, despite the fact that it never worked, never deported anyone, and cost over 700 million. Today's offender, well, it's Chris Philp, isn't it? It's always Chris Philp. Shadow Home Secretary gave us a perfect case study on how to contradict yourself live on air without even flinching. You ever feel like you're trapped in political deja vu? Like no matter how many times a lie is debunked, someone just hits reply? Well, you're not alone, because today Chris Philp decided to rewrite history yet again. And somehow he keeps getting away with it. But not here, not on this channel. And every time he pops up to claim Rwanda was the best thing since sliced bread, I'll keep reminding everybody the actual facts. So what has GULPER Philp been up to today? Well, he climbed aboard a fishing boat to prove Labour's new returns deal isn't a deterrent. Yes, really a fishing boat, because when you're trying to assess international policy, what's a better method than going 3 men in a boat style? He tries to claim that because he saw 2 dinghies cross the channel that the deterrent has already failed. Hours, literally hours after the policy came into effect. Apparently, deterrents are supposed to work before breakfast now.
I mean, the government announced their new deal a couple of days ago, came into force yesterday. They claimed it would act as a deterrent. Now, I said it would not act as a deterrent because only a tiny fraction of people crossing the channel illegally would end up getting returned. So there'd be no deterrent effect whatsoever. Those 150-odd illegal immigrants had not been deterred because I guess they knew that their chances of getting returned under Labour's deal are virtually zero. So the whole thing was completely shambolic, and there was no sign whatsoever of the government's supposed new deal having any effect whatsoever.
But wait, it actually gets better. When asked whether his Rwanda plan worked the same way, he says,
"Do you think it's reasonable to expect there to be an immediate deterrent effect just hours into the agreement? Just hours into the agreement?"
Well, I mean, the point about a deterrent is that people know that if they try and cross, they're going to get returned. And obviously, this agreement is not going to do that because...
Well, no, that's not my question. It was a few hours into the agreement. I think came into force at midnight. I don't know what time you were out to sea, but do you think that deterrent would have been immediate?
Well, I mean, that's how deterrents work, because people know they're going to get returned.
No,
I think it is reasonable.
You see evidence of a plan in place, and then that is then put forward or understood by others, and that's how a deterrent works. It doesn't work straight away. The Conservative government said that would be a deterrent. It wasn't put in place, but it was a deterrent already, just the proposal. How much of a deterrent was it the day after it was proposed?
Well, it's not about proposing a deal, it's about the deal coming into force.
But you said it would be a deterrent.
Let me finish the point. And as you've already acknowledged, the Rwanda scheme never actually came into force. It was never actually in effect. Labour's rubbish deal did come into effect yesterday.
So let me get this straight. Labour's plan doesn't work instantly, total failure. Tory Rwanda plan, never even launched, would have been amazing. Make it make sense. And then the big lie. Here, he's allowed to monologue completely unchallenged and just total lies after lies after lies. He says this.
So the Rwanda deal never came into effect. The reason it never came into effect is that it went through all of those legal challenges. You probably remember the last government had to pass a new act of parliament to deal with those. It would have started at the end of July last year. I think the first flight was due on July the 24th last year. But the Labour government, Keir Starmer, cancelled it just days before it was due to start, with no replacement plan in place. Let me finish. And the consequence of that has been that 2025, this year so far, has been the worst year in history for illegal channel crossings because they cancelled that scheme with no replacement plan in place. So I think had it started, I think it would have been effective, because the Rwanda scheme, by contrast to this Labour deal that started yesterday, the Rwanda scheme, by contrast, would have seen every illegal migrant crossing the channel being returned either to their home country or to Rwanda. And it's common sense tells you that if you have a 100% chance, or a very close to 100% chance of getting removed and returned, then you're not going to bother making the crossing in the first place.
No, just no. The Rwanda deal only had a capacity for 300 people. That's it. It cost the taxpayers, you and me, £700 million, deported 4 volunteers and never removed a single illegal immigrant under its actual terms. And yet Philp has the audacity to claim it would remove everyone. That's not spin, that's just fantasy. He even admits that the plan never started because of legal challenges. So let's be honest, they called the election early to avoid the embarrassment of it failing in real time. And now they're sat there in opposition pretending like it was some silver bullet. Meanwhile, they're mocking Labour's plan, which actually exists and could return 50 people per week. So let me do the math for you, Chris. 50 people per week, 2,600 per year. Rwanda total capacity, 300. Once. Who's going to be shouting at the sea again? Oh, wait, Yvette Cooper already nailed that one.
Well, I think the problem with reform and the problem with the Conservatives is, look, they are currently voting against our border security bill, which brings in the counter-terror powers to go after criminal gangs. It brings in a ban on sex offenders from the asylum system, something that I announced 6 months ago. It brings in the stronger enforcement law against endangering life at sea, means we can do more prosecutions, brings in new powers for us to be able to seize and inspect mobile phones from those people arriving on small boats. And yet they're voting against it. They're blocking it. And they've also wanted to rip up cooperation with France and with other countries, the things that make it possible for us to start returning people to France. I think the problem is they just shout. They don't actually ever have serious or practical plans to tackle these serious problems. All they do is shout at the sea.
So I got onto a little fishing boat, skippered by a guy from Dover called Matt, went on the channel yesterday morning at 7 a.m. We motored over to Calais.
If the Rwanda scheme was such a brilliant deterrent, why did it deter absolutely no one? And why is the only thing the Conservatives able to return is the same tired lie? But maybe there's a reason the BBC didn't really push back on this Rwanda lie. It's because maybe, just maybe, they think it was a good idea too, which you can see in the video that's on screen now. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, and I'll see you next time.